I went to like a flea market, and I just felt the energy and the vibe that was around. I'm like, okay, I kind of liked it. Came back to Tennessee, sold Urban Clothes. So I started my business with $300, going back and forth to Atlanta. So I didn't really have fear. I just was, man, I'm going to do this for 6 months, get some experience, and leave. That was my goal. I didn't know nothing about business. You know what I mean? How to do anything. But I know how to talk to people, I know how to sell stuff. And it's all about relationships. Business is all it is, just finding relationships with people and talking with them. And hopefully you have a good product and hopefully they patronize you. But me, I had a kid. So I had a kid when I was in school as a teen parent. So I couldn't say I went to California, went to Tennessee, and I'm going to go back home and just party for the last 4 years and not provide for my daughter. So for me, I didn't have that because I wanted to. I mean, my whole time was like, I'm going to survive and I'm going to do something so my kids can be proud that I can take care of my family.
I'm so glad Jesus lifted me. We're not going to sing it, but welcome back to Talk, where we talk 10 topics and talk about them. Joining us today, we've got Mrs. Morgan Rayford in the building from Maryville, not Sevierville, Maryville.
Thank God you got it right.
Yeah, I'm always right, but I'm never wrong.
30 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, but getting started, we've got a guest in the building, a very special guest. We've got Mr. KD Bowen in the building. Go ahead and say what's up, say hello, what's going on, what's popping.
Yo, what it do?
Just welcome in. I want to take a moment and recognize the victims of the family in the crash in D.C. You are in our prayers and our deepest condolences. Next, I want to take a moment and recognize a very happy birthday. Today is our assistant director's birthday. It's February 13th, and today is her birthday. Everyone should have a happy birthday and just send your love, support, and all your love. Today's her birthday, and wishing a happy birthday to you. I'm not finna sing. I will bless y'all with a song, but I'm not going to do that today. You'll be really blessed with my singing, I promise. It's like Aretha Franklin. I'm joking. That'll be all. It's not too late to join the 28 Days of Acts in Action. Join us as we're studying 28 Days of Acts in Action, studying the Bible, faith, hope, and leadership. Join us. It's not too late. Join us on this amazing time. We're studying faith, hope, leadership, and don't forget the Holy Spirit. It is an amazing time. We've studied Peter and how that when he came to a time, oh my gosh. We're going to keep going. Where he came to a time where he challenged the tradition and the current status quo in that time period, bringing the gospel, and he was challenged and was arrested. He continued to preach the gospel while being arrested, still gathering people. It's an amazing story, amazing journey. Join us on this journey. So, with that being said, we got our guests. We got our topics. We got any check-ins and announcements we want to go with before we keep going?
I got an announcement.
Go for it.
So, tomorrow, well, not tomorrow, but on Saturday, we will be having a Valentine night out celebrating Good Samaritan. We're doing an event for them, celebrating 40 years of impact throughout our region. We got a gourmet dinner that's going to be prepared. They got professional photos, got a DJ coming in from North Carolina. So it's going to be a really fun event for the people in our region. It'll hopefully come out for a good cause and have a lot of fun. And you ain't got to worry about planning Valentine's Day. All you do is go out there and we got it, set it and forget it. Just buy a ticket and we took care of everything else for you.
Okay. That sounds fun. With that being said, Morgan, you got something you want to say? What you want to say to the people?
Nothing particularly. Just study and do what you got to do and go to class. Yeah.
What's the saying you always say? Go to class, don't be.
I don't know.
You always say go to class, don't be stupid.
Yeah, I do. I say go to class, don't be stupid. Study, don't be stupid. Be educated, please.
We love you. You had to sprinkle that on there. That being said, Mr. KD, go ahead and tell the audience about yourselves and who you are and just sprinkle it on us.
I'm KD Bowen. I'm the owner and founder of Fanatics 101. We have a store inside the mall at Johnson City. We've been there for 22 years. I was in Asheville market for 14 years. I'm also an author of 4 books. I'm working on another leadership. It's kind of like a 30-day devotional that I'm working on. Should be released soon. Also a business coach. Believer in Christ. I'm a father of 2 beautiful girls, Shakina and Trinity, and I have 2 grandkids, about to say Trinity, but Faith and Emmanuel. Those are my grandkids, and I had a girlfriend also.
Okay. With that being said, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting. Let's go ahead and get into this episode. I'm excited. So, that being said, Morgan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've had a little cold for the past 2 weeks, but other than that, I've been pretty good.
Everybody been getting sick. Like, some of my coworkers got the flu. They was out sick. I was like, I don't want to be around y'all, but I got to pay my bills, so I'm going to come to work.
Well, because like 2 weeks ago, I was walking to school in 8-degree weather, and now it's 70, so,
Tennessee weather is like playing Powerball. That being said, well, sorry, I know I said that twice. Y'all forgive me. With that being said, this year you released your fourth book called Mountain Movers, adding to your growing work. Just go ahead and tell us about it.
So Mountain Movers, I started it a couple years ago. Just like I said, we just released Volume 2. Is a compilation of stories from people here. I think everybody got a story, but people don't tell their story. But somebody always going to tell your story. It's whether you going to tell your story or somebody going to tell it for you. But a lot of people tell it based on the last interaction that they had with you. So if we've been friends for 20, 30 years, 10 years, whatever the case may be, if they don't agree with you on something, they might not be your friend. They might always say something bad about you. So I just try to get people to tell their story and their legacy to pass it on. And they take the pen and take control of the story. And we try to get a lot of different leaders throughout our region to kind of work together. So no matter what background, you can be from here, not from here, and just pull people together, work together that don't necessarily look like you. So if you see the cover of the book, you're like, that's the Tri-Cities, it don't necessarily look like that. But my goal is to get all people working together. We can find some common good and work together. And it's just a great group of people that we get to work together that's got one thing. They want to move mountains in our region.
I like that name, Mountain Movers. I like that name. I think unity is kind of just very important. I think just because in our mission statement, we really emphasize toward unity, bringing people together in Christ. But also, everyone has a story. Yeah. And a lot of times, some people don't get a chance to tell their story. And I was having this conversation. I remember one time somebody said that the most emptiest space full of ideas is the cemetery. Because a lot of people die, never telling their story, and never actually getting their ideas out there, and never actually completing the journey or the calling they were called to.
I would have to agree with that because it's so much knowledge people have. I mean, you go to the nursing home, there's a whole lot of knowledge there, but people don't go to really soak that knowledge in. When I first started my business, I went around to everybody that's in a business just to soak that knowledge in, to be coachable and learn. Because it's no need to create a new path. I mean, follow other people's path. It's going to be so much easier for you and you can go so much further. So, yes, definitely get your story out some way, somehow. And it's easier to write a chapter of a book versus write a whole story. And people like, I don't think I have something to tell. I'm like, you can learn from a 5-year-old. We all got something that we can learn from and tell your story. You might do it a different way. It's more than one way to get to Maryville. So, I mean, you just got to find a different direction. Just because we got different beliefs and different views, we still can find our way for a common good.
Sometimes I think some people, what holds them back from telling their story goes back to last week we talked about my people pleaser. And I think sometimes people pleasing and self-validation holds you back from telling their story.
It does. It's fear because people don't want to be judged. But a lot of times it's like, you go to a test. To have a testimony, you have to go to a test. So you have to go out that story to get it out there. I'm like, your story can prevent somebody else. Yeah. Your story, telling your voice will help somebody else that's struggling with that same identical thing. And you might get that person shrink. Then eventually that person's going to tell their story and they're going to give somebody shrink. Eventually you can change the world if everybody's being bold enough. And it's not about bragging. It's not about just, hey, man, pulpit for me, but you overcame something. Why is God good in your life? You need to spread that light and talk about it. You don't need to keep it in. You're supposed to be the light of the world. If you're going out there and everybody keeping this room, how are you really attracting people or winning people for that mission?
And I think it goes back to that story in the Bible where Jesus left the 99 just for that one. And I think just that one story could just that one person can impact a whole bunch of people. It really starts with you. Like we always say, this is just a piece of the conversation. The real work starts with you. It starts outside of the conversation. So I think that actually getting out there and starting a conversation and actually telling your story and being willing to, in some sense, be vulnerable. Because sometimes you have to really be vulnerable in some certain situations, not all the time.
You can be, it's different lines. I always tell people be real and relatable. So I'm like, if you in corporate boardrooms, people know real, and if you in the streets of wherever, of Memphis, you gonna have the people know real people regardless of the situation. So just be real, be relatable, tell your story, and understand it can come with backlash because everybody's not gonna agree with your story, but it's your story. People can't get mad at how you see things. That was your upbringing. That's how you came up. So tell your story. Don't be unashamed.
Right?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Little known fact, I was in the Macy's parade, and New York was never something that was like the top of my bucket list to travel. But I loved it because I saw so many people from so many backgrounds, and every person I walked by was like, oh my gosh, like I would love to talk to this person, like ask them what their story is, like how their life was. And I just really enjoyed that because it's like, especially coming from like small towns like Maryville and Knoxville and Johnson City, and then you're going to New York, you're like, oh wow, like this is not even just the melting pot of, race or religion. It's a melting pot of just interactions with people, of just, I was having so many conversations with just going to the store, and they're like, oh yeah, like I'm from Florida, or I'm from this, and I went here and I went here, you should go here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like incredible. This is like, it made me, I think at that time, more open-minded to a lot of things that I wasn't last year. So yeah.
It's exposure.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have exposure, so they limited on what they can see based on the exposure that they have. So they like, well, grandma and granddaddy said it's this way. I'm like, well, your grandma and granddaddy could be wrong also.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're right. The more exposure you get, you can form your own opinion about who you are and what you want to do. Another reason why people don't tell these stories, is they don't want to be viewed as something that's bad. Like it's not necessarily a bad thing, but how you bounce back. Everybody gonna get knocked down. You just can't get knocked out. How many times can you get up? You just had to keep getting up and don't be ashamed. You had this mistake, you did it. Don't glorify it. Get better. Don't keep making the same mistake, but it's okay. People can relate to people that's being real and transparent versus somebody that's being fake and stiff.
Yeah, and I think I noticed that a lot, especially like living in the South all of my life, and all I heard was, oh, like New York people are mean, they're this, they're that, and it's like, but when you really go up there, it was like, no, they're not mean, they're just real. And I was like, I think I've dealt with more mean people from the South than I ever did from the North. And I was like, it's just because they're real. And I think, this might be a little controversial, but I think a lot of people sometimes in the South, we don't necessarily want to be open with ourselves and with other people because we can be closed-minded, and it's like, how can we be open-minded with anybody else's story if we're not even open-minded with ourselves? And I think because it's like the Southern hospitality, like, oh, well, we don't want to come off this way if we talk about this, and we don't want to overload our traumas or do this because we're always like image. But it's like when I went up to the North, I was like, wow, like it's not that they don't care, but they're so just honest with themselves and with their lives and with their stories. And it's not that they don't care what made this person think or this other person think, but it's like you can just tell that they care more about their lives and how they might interact with somebody than anything else. So.
I always want to go to New York, not gonna lie. I haven't been. There was a trip we were supposed to take. It was before COVID. My school every year, we do 2 trips, one in the spring, one in the fall. And I wanted to go to the fall trip to New York. I didn't get to go because COVID happened.
So what's holding you back now?
Been busy. I thought about going. My cousin lives in New York, and I thought about taking some time sometime this year and going to visit my cousin since she moved there. So I'm working on it.
That's what's up. Hey, so I highly recommend people travel and just make a list of places you want to go. I mean, the bus is cheap. You can get to a train. You can get different places if you really want to go there. But most people prevent themselves from going because, like, oh, we don't want to go there. What if this? I'm busy. Busy is just an excuse a lot of time. You know what I mean? You can be busy, but you also, if it's important to you, you'll go do it if you really want to go do it. I think you should get there, man. I can't wait to hear your story about you going to New York, man.
Yeah, my cousin lives there, and I'd like to go, but that's something we're working and planning out.
You got this, brother.
So one of the questions I want to ask you is that do you believe that the need for external validation and the pressure to have everything figured out often holds people back from stepping into their purpose.
No, I don't fear you have to have everything figured out. Most people take forever trying to figure stuff out. You just need to be strategic and have a plan. Just like I just said earlier, but I think the coach was coming out of me. Just you have to like everybody have the answers. They just got to figure it out. But you don't have to know everything to get started. Just have a plan, have faith, but you need to know what you're doing. Just don't go blindly at something and say, God got my back. Man, God gave you common sense as well. You know what I mean? You have a plan, but don't just let fear hold you back. Just have a plan and just start it. And if it don't fail, so what? You tried. Most people ain't even trying. You know what I mean? So you going out there, you trying to do this, just like this podcast. You started, you trying, and look at you. 3 years in, y'all still doing it. You just got to keep getting better. Every episode, just keep getting better, and people do it. So you don't have to know everything. If it's meant to be, it's going to work out. It's just one of those things you just got to just do it. Put it. If it's truly in your heart and it's in your passion, do it. And it's not even about money. Sometimes it come down, if you really, truly love this, as long as you can pay your bills, man, do that. Who cares? If your brother's a doctor, your lawyer, whatever the case may be, a prosecutor, you know what I mean? you just got to be happy with who you are, because everybody ain't happy. There's people that have a whole lot of money, but they're not happy. They're not doing what they truly wanted to do. If you're doing truly what you want to do, that's happiness, joy. Don't be scared to jump out in something. You don't have to have everything put together. You're waiting for it to get right. I'm waiting for the perfect time to get married. I'm waiting for the perfect time to start my business. I'm waiting for the perfect time to do this. No, if that's on your heart and that's what you want to do, as long as you got a plan and you prayed about it and you coachable, you have to be coachable as well. If you got those things, you can work out most things. You don't have to just wait. But just make sure you're taking notes down of what worked, what didn't work, so you don't repeat the same mistake.
So I agree with what you said, and I think that sometimes people are I think sometimes people really you have to really just have some trust. You have to have some faith, and faith is because faith without works is dead. You have to have some faith.
No, you have to have faith. You have to have faith, common sense, and you have to have a good work ethic. I think now, I mean, a lot of people, they just want to be in a room with people, but they don't want to put in the work of what the people have to do to be in the room. So it's like they want to be socially accepted and be this person, but they don't really want to do it. Think about Usain Bolt, who ran track all those years, fastest man in the world, all this stuff. We seen him run probably 10 minutes of his whole career, but he worked 10 years just to have those 10 minutes. Yeah. Most people want to come in and they want the glory of the 10 minutes, but they're not willing to put in the work for those 10 years to get there. Being in business is not something that's easy. You got to pay the bills. All the pressure on you. The pressure on nobody else. You still got to pay them. The people that sitting there talking to you, I still got to write them a check. You know what I mean? Your name is speared in the mud. You still got to pay your bills. You still got to pay all these people. The pressure is on you. So, but people now don't really want to put in that work to really do it. They just want to look like they're doing it and be around people like it's going to rub off and they're going to just magically work hard. I think whatever your ambitions is, it should match your work ethic.
Yeah, that is so true. Because, for me, I've always wanted to work in the government. I've always wanted to work with forensics, all this. Because I used to want to be forensic scientist, work in the morgue and all that. But I just know, since I was in 6th grade, I always wanted to go to college. And growing up, especially being in college now, I just noticed that the people who have a set plan, it's harder to get them off of that plan than it is for someone that doesn't have a plan. It's harder for people that don't have a plan to do things and get off the path that's not for them. Because I know for me, I'm very, I go to class. I'm doing my work. I'm studying for my exams. I'm doing this. You could not get me to not attend class. It's very hard. But then I see some people that is so easy for them. And I'm like, how? Why? But then I have to look at myself and it's like, okay, well, Morgan, you've always had this dream. You've always had this goal. You've always had this plan. So why should you mess it up now? Because it's life is too short to waste time, because it's yes, life moves fast and you need to be happy and you should be happy with your dreams and goals. But it's how can you do that if you are not also putting the work in? Because it's with God, you have to meet him halfway. But if you're only meeting him 25% of the way, he's not going to really help you all the way because he wants you to do the work. He wants you to put the effort in. And I just think, like, I've noticed a lot for myself is that I've always had a plan, but I've always been like a perfectionist. So I've had to more so trust the situation and just walk by faith and not by sight. Because even when you do have a plan, sometimes you might get off your plan.
Yeah.
But as long as you still have it in your head and your soul and your mind, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, like, you'll end up there.
No.
And I think a big thing is that God has done His part. He's just waiting on you to respond to the rest of your part. And I think if you do 20%, if you just do 20% like you said, and don't do the other half, it's not gonna get done. It's gonna be sitting there. Like we always say this a lot all the time. You know, God's at the door. He's waiting on you. He's already done the work. He's knocking at the door. Just gotta open it. Step into it. Have a plan. Now my question for you is: you said about having a plan. How would you recommend somebody creates a plan? And how would you break it down?
Hire me as their coach. But no, but if they didn't do that, you just have to sit down and be real with yourself of what you want to do and break it up into like things that you can measure. Like, okay, hey, and this week I'm going to do this. This month I'm going to do this. In the next 3 months, this quarter, you know what I mean? Half of the year, then the year. If you start doing it like that, you'll be okay. And sometimes you got to adjust your plan. I'm like, you can write a whole lot of plans down. I mean, it's February. And people already had this goal at it first of the year. They're going to be doing all this stuff, and it's off the plans. It's okay. You still can get back on the plan, back on track. You just can't throw in the towel already. You just have to adjust yourself like, okay, hey, if I do this, I can make it. So just start with small steps that you can measure, and I think that will help you get back on track. And just being around good people, being around having a mentor, having accountability. The reason a lot of people can't do stuff because nobody hold them accountable. It's hard for you to hold yourself accountable talking about class, unless that's really your dream and your passion. Like for you, I know they don't got to hold you accountable about going to class. For some people, that might be and it might be a reason why. So we might could be like, hey, sis, what's going on? Why something's going on? It could be really they got something back home that they struggling with that we can really help them out and be in their corner. Because most people judge them well, I'm doing it. Why can't you do it? That's not always the thing you should take and say to some people sometimes. You need to go up there and encourage them that they can do it. But they need to have accountability, mentorship, having somebody around them that can help them do it. And who do they want to be? Who they inspire to be like? Be around them, but work. Be around them to coach, not to be around them to be in pictures and look at me when you're not really that guy or that girl. You need to be inspired by them. So if I get around certain people, like, oh, man, every time I'm around them, they motivate me to be better. I get better. I learn something new when I'm around them. That's what the kind of people you want to be around you. I mean, I know people always say, like, your 5 best friends, those are the people they're going to tell a lot about you, which is true. That is a true statement. But as a Christian, I'm like, okay, we are called to be the light of the world. Are you going to other people and pulling them up? Now, you can't hang around them 24/7 or you going to eventually be just like them. But it's nothing wrong with you to go pick other people up because they can go pick other people up and it just helps you. But stay focused on what you know you want to be. Have a plan, accountability, have a mentor, and just be coachable. It's hard to ask people for help. You know what I mean? In our community, we just keep everything in. You got a problem, you just hold it in. No, man, ask for help. It's okay to be humble. Humble yourself to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know the Bible talks about the God helps the humble before He helps the prideful. And I think that, the Bible says, if my people will call my name, will humble themselves, seek my face and pray. And I think that we have to be willing to be humble. Being humble, I think, is a good part. And having a plan, having a vision, and writing it down.
Absolutely. I agree.
My next question for you is about, you own Fanatics 101 in the mall. Mm-hmm. Tell me about, when you started the business, did you have any doubt? Did you have anything in your mind that kind of, do you have a moment where, you opened it and it was just, I don't see the vision and process, nothing's really happening? Or you have a moment where you question anything? Or, just talk about any, challenges you had starting the business. When I started out, I graduated from Tulsa in 2003. I was trying to leave Tennessee as quick as I could. Mm-hmm. But everywhere I applied, there was you need experience. And I'm like, do I have a degree? How am I going to get experience if nobody's giving me a job? So I will work pretty much away ever, go to job staffing places. You go get a job, you get fired. Everywhere I went, I just got fired. I'm like, tired, bro. And I'm like, I ain't getting up my dreams.
I went home to my family, had like a graduation party. I got like $300. I went to like a flea market, and I just felt the energy and the vibe that was around. I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. Came back to Tennessee, sold urban clothes. So I started my business with $300, going back and forth to Atlanta. So I didn't really have fear. I just was, man, I'm gonna do this for 6 months, get some experience, and leave. That was my goal. I didn't know nothing about business. You know what I mean? How to do anything. But I know how to talk to people, I know how to sell stuff, and it's all about relationships. Business is all it is, just finding relationships with people and talking with them, and hopefully you have a good product, and hopefully they patronize you. But me, I had a kid. So I had a kid when I was in school as a teen parent. So I couldn't say I went to California, went to Tennessee, and I'm going to go back home and just party for the last 4 years and not provide for my daughter. So for me, I didn't have that because I wanted to, I mean, my whole time was like, I'm going to survive and I'm going to do something so my kids can be proud that I can take care of my family. So that was always it. But you have challenges because you don't know about employees. You don't know about taxes. That's a funny story. I can tell it now. But it's like, so I thought I went there. They was like, man, you take out taxes. I'm like, I got to take out taxes. They just pay this. And the guy was like, oh, KD, you got to take out tax. I'm like, well, where you go to do that at? He's like, so you kidding me, right? I'm like, no, sir, I'm not kidding. He's like, okay, go down here to this place, give me the address and all this stuff. I go there. She was like, so how long you been in business? It was like in November. It was November the 1st, I remember. She was like, how long you been in business? I'm like, open up in August. She's like, okay, well, you open up on November the 1st. And she's like, because I like you and I don't want you just to start out already in trouble. So, I mean, and you people give you grace along the way, but you don't know what you don't know. I really didn't, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just out here trying to, you know what I mean, make it so I can get out. But I fell in love with the people of Northeast Tennessee and also fell in love with doing this stuff. And I was having fun, running my own business and making enough money to pay my bills and take care of my daughter. So I was cool with that because I was happy. And here I am 20-some years later still in Northeast Tennessee.
So tell us about your journey about being a parent, being a father.
Being a father is fun. They so cute and fun. In the teenage years, you wanna skip that process. But nah, kids are like they're a gift from God, man. So for me, being a teen parent, so when I graduated high school, I started working in the factory for the first year before I went to play football in California. So all of my walls was pictures of my daughter. That was my motivation. So when people wasn't going to class, I'm like, I'm going to class. Spring break, I never went on spring break. So now I travel a whole lot. So I'm going a whole lot of spring breaks now. But I didn't really do that stuff because I'm like, if I got free time, I'm flying back to see my daughter. That was like my goal, my mission is I always want to be a good father. You know, I didn't always see what a good father looked like, but I didn't care what it looked like. I know what I wanted to be, and I wanted to make sure that I gave my daughters a better life. So I had 2 biological kids. Then I helped raise 4 other kids. So it was always about, family was at my core. To be a good father, a good person, and hopefully be a good example for my daughters to see what a good man looked like.
So what's the difference between you 20 years ago to now? It's like, what growth have you seen in yourself?
What growth I seen in myself in 20 years? A lot. I weigh a lot more. Know a whole lot more people. I don't know, man. In 20 years, when you young, you just go out and you just do them. With time, who they are, especially the people that look like me and you. Yeah. Most time, people they got to change who they are, how they talk, how they look around certain people. I'm like, man, if my friend is worth $100 million or my friend a felon, I'm gonna treat him the same. Mm-hmm. I call him my friend, regardless of the situation. So I don't really care. Most people can't do that. So they got to be a certain way around certain people. I'm like, this is the KD that you get at all times. I don't have to figure out how I'm gonna be around certain people. This is what you get. Some people gonna like you, some people not gonna like you, but some people didn't like Jesus, so it's okay. It is what it is.
That's what my mom says all the time.
They sure didn't like Jesus because the same people that crucified him was the government and the officials. But yeah, going forward, my next question is: so when it comes to like your book, it's called "The Dream Is Free." Mm-hmm. Why did you say the dream is free?
Because it was all like a dream. So for me, I knew what I wanted So I had a near-death experience when I was like 9 years old. And I was at the bottom of a pool and, you know what I mean, all the stuff, I won't make it all spooky and stuff. But my grandma was like, God saved your life that day for you to do something big. You special. And man, when grandma say something, you believe it. Like, I literally took that to my core. Like, bro, I don't care what you say about me. My grandma said I was special. I'm special. So I just always took that light. Like, man, I was at the bottom of a pool. You know what I mean? I wasn't there, and I'm back at an early age. So I'm like, I feel my life have a purpose. So it was all a dream, you know what I mean, to do that. So that's kind of why I named the book The Dream is Free, but the Hustle is So Separate. Because you can have a dream, but some people just dream when they like sleeping. Man, daydreaming. I want to like actually come out, work for what what I feel I can, get. And this, my dream is bigger than just me though. It's about, you know what I mean, my family, but also about how can you inspire and impact other people. That's my ultimate goal, is like to make an impact while I'm here on earth.
So I would say when it comes to like dream is free, I think your motivation was like, what happened to you as a child, which was God spared your life. Those really God spared your life. When it comes to the dream being free, like what was another motivation you writing that dream? Like what were you thinking when you were writing the book? That's what I'm really trying to ask.
When I got it, because so many people ask me, like, man, you started your business out of your trunk of your car. You got stores in 2 different states, and you doing this. And then you get asked that over and over and over because you don't think about it. I'm a doer, so I don't got time to really think about all the other stuff. Like, it's cool to get awards and all this, but I'm like, man, I'm trying to ride my dash. And the dash is like, you got your birthday and you got your death date. That dash in between, I'm trying to run it up as long as I possibly can, so I don't have time to really think about it. Now, sometimes you get moments where you're like, man, God's really been good to me, man. This is really crazy that you sold your business out of your trunk of your car, you've been the president of the chamber, you done did all these cool things, but I don't really fixate on that. I don't go for the titles. I go to be the best person that I can be. I run a race against myself. I don't run my race against no other man or woman.
So when it comes to like hustle, I know like hustling is a big thing, like hustle culture. When it comes to like things like constantly go, how do you take time for yourself as a busy man as you are? How do you take time to actually like rest and breathe?
I think you have to be very intentional about it. So for me, when I'm home, and Johnson is my home, but I'm originally from Washington, North Carolina. So Washington, North Carolina will always be my home. But I live here, so this is what I call home right now. You have to be intentional. So for me, I try to make sure I'm traveling, going, do stuff, and like I just came back from Vegas like 2 weeks ago for a sports show. But even when it's business, I still try to be intentional about finding time for myself, finding time to take my kids or grandkids to a game or traveling. Last year, one of my goals was to go to Fiji. I went to Fiji because you have to be intentional about what goals you are. Because what's the point of working 24/7 and not living a life? It's like, you know what I mean? What's the point? I'm like, bro, we all going to aspire. Yeah. Everything come to an end. I want to still do a little bit of living as much as I possibly can. So finding that time to just pause, and for me, also working out. So that's a break for me. So when I work out, it helps me be the best I can be so I can be around people. When you work in the public, people come at you 24/7. You don't know what they got going on. So they just throwing whatever they have going on onto you. So just being focused and intentional about working out, being intentional about planning trips and doing different things, because I don't see the point of working 24/7 if you ain't gonna do nothing with it. So you might as well, find a time to do something with it.
How was Fiji?
Oh, it's beautiful. Like, man, it's crazy. So me and my girl, we just we joke like, man, one day I want to go to Fiji, and we joke with Fiji water and Fiji calendar. And she go in Bath and Body Works, Fiji calendar here. I'm like, Kendall, okay, eventually we're going. I'm like, man, how way is Fiji at? You go, I'm like, dude, that's way over there. It's a long flight. Like, it's a long, yes.
18 hours?
It's
18 hours?
Yes, 18 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long flight. You gain a day, you lose a day. It's absolutely crazy, but it's beautiful. And the people are very beautiful and grateful. Like, man, they live in like huts and multiple families, but they so happy. and it's so grateful. It's like a cool, really cool thing to see, but it's absolutely beautiful. And your money go a lot further in Fiji too. It's expensive to get there because your flight and it's a long time, but man, American dollar is like you can buy a whole lot of stuff over there. I'm telling you. But it was beautiful.
Are you guys questions for him?
Just about Fiji, man. I bet the water was clear.
It was
blue.
It was. The only thing is where they food, like in America, our food is. I mean, I love America, but our food got a whole lot of processes.
Yes.
So the ketchup don't look like American ketchup. The food is very like clear, pure. Like I was like, yeah, man, I need this right here, and I want some kind of drink or something. I'm like, what's taking this dude so long to make a drink? They really back there. Mashing it. That's like I was like, oh, we're in Fiji. That's right. It's like it's
so
different.
Are they like English speakers or is it like a mix?
It's a more English. It's a mix though.
Okay.
But mostly English for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's cool.
I know the fruit was good.
It was.
I know it was the bomb.
It was good. The seafood amazing. All of it is just eventually when you're not used to processed food, it is going. You know what I mean?
And their soil is so fertile because Tennessee soil is not fertile. It's not at all.
Yeah. It was cool though. It was met a lot of nice people. Had a great time. It's beautiful. I just encourage people, man, just go travel, man. Whatever dream you have, the goal to dream is free. It's free to dream and set goals to what do you want to do. So I mean, besides just work.
Yeah.
We raise kids. We're gonna do this. We go to school. Now what? Now what are you gonna do? Set those goals. Be intentional about what you want to do, and who knows? You can go do whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah, I think that is so true. Especially like I know for myself, personally, like I've always just been like school, work, career, this and that. And then it's like when I get to college, I'm like, oh, okay. Like there's other things I could also look at, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I'm in the color guard, and that was one thing because like I played sports all my life, and then when I joined color guard, I was like, wow, this is really like there's other things out in the world, other things that I can join that I could really put my mind to other than just school and work and then my career, you know? And just being able to perform is almost like, I feel like traveling in itself, where it's like a break for like just an instance from all the chaos and the structure of like your everyday life. You're like, man, okay, I traveled for like 2 hours because I'm in a football game, and you know, so.
A lot of time it'll motivate you because you'll get around other people and you're like, man, I like that. Because when you just around what you around, you can't grow with so much. So you put that shark in that little tank, the shark ain't growing so big. But you put that shark in a big tank. And that's what people have to do. You have to go out and just see other things. You can get different ideas. A lot of my ideas, when I go out, I'm like, bro, that's cool. I'm going to try this in Johnson City. I wonder if that worked. Because I'm always thinking, you know what I mean, like you can do better. There's always something else that you can do. And it just helped me. I feel better. So with me, it's like, man, I feel refreshed when I come back from a vacation. And most time I'm inspired to like go on another vacation, but also work hard and bring different things back to my community that I see there. And it motivates you because you see people doing big things like, bro,
I want to do that
like
too.
that. That's cool, man. I like that. You know what I mean?
So how would you like break down like being intentional? Like I know like the first thing to do when you is to be intentional, but how would you actually like for somebody who's like confused and like lost on how to get started? How would you break down being intentional about getting started?
It's first they got to figure out what they want. What's your purpose? What God put on your heart? You have to find out your identity and what truly you want to do. So I never told my kids, like, I'm in business, but I never forced my kids to be in business. I'm like, I care as much as you care. Whatever you want to do, I'm here to support you if you putting forth effort to that particular thing. So I never forced them to do whatever. I don't care what you're going to do. Man, you can deliver pizza. If that's what you want to do, do it. If you want to be the CEO of Eastman, do it. But it's hard for parents to do that because most time they want their kids to be the best of the best. We all do. But you can't shun them if they not. I remember one time my donor, he was, you know what I mean, like, well, I won a state championship in for track and field. It was like, I'm going to take your plaque down if you're not going to such and such school. And I'm like, I'm going to be something regardless of what you say or how you feel. I'm still going to be something. But people judge you or respect you based on what you give to them. Yeah, I mean, if my kid's off being a lawyer, that's my favorite kid. But their sister, I mean, they can't hardly keep a job. They ain't nobody. They both somebody. They both your kids. You know, they came from your house. You got to learn to like love people where they at. But being intentional is just finding your purpose, what you truly want to be, and what you want to do. And it's kind of like a roadmap. Where do you want to go? You're not going to get in your car and just say, hey, I'm going to just go wherever. You're not. Where you going? You ain't going nowhere. You got to be intentional. Set that phone, put it in there. We used to have maps back in the day, but put your phone where I'm going. That's the same thing you do with your life. Where I'm going to go with my life. Where do I want to go? And set that, be intentional, and just do that. And basically just, look, write down what you want to do. You can't do all of them. Start with the smallest one. Go get that. I'm going to go get this one thing. Then the next thing, I'm going to go get that. Then I'm going to go get this. And before you know it, you already there. And even if you don't reach where you want to go, you further than what you would have been just sitting there dreaming, talking about it with your friends, complaining, playing video games.
I know that's right. Yeah, and also start small, too. Because I think sometimes, like, especially young people, I think we get in the habit of doing big intentional things. Like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So it's like, but how are you going to get there? And sometimes it just starts off with just making your bed. Or just writing in a journal every day. And I think if we put our mind to that, like starting off small, then it's like we can do the big things. Because if you can't do the small things, you're not going to be able to do the big things.
Tell them, girl.
Because it's like, how's a house going to stand without foundation?
Oop. Clock it.
Absolutely. And also, I love what you said, girl. I appreciate all that. I got a philosophy. I always say, win today. One of my saying, I say, win today all the time. I'm like, the first win you have is making your bed. But also, your mission need to be, how can you impact other people? Mm-hmm. If you can't impact other people with what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Life is bigger than just you. So when you're being intentional, is like intentionally write down, how can this impact other people for the greater good?
I like what I love what both of y'all said. Y'all both kind of like clocking it. What's that saying? What's that saying on TikTok? Is it clock it? Or clocking T? What's that saying on TikTok?
I think it's just clocking the T.
Man, I'm old.
Oh. When you graduated Tuscaloosa, I was born.
Like, man, I'm old, man.
Yeah, when you say you graduated, I was like, I was born that year. I was like, oh.
It's okay. It's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good.
No, I was thinking, like, I was thinking about what both of y'all just said, and I think that having a foundation is very key. Because if you don't really have a foundation, it's gonna fall. Because if you don't have a foundation, like just like a house, it's not gonna. You can't have a house without a foundation. And I think that we have to build our foundation of what do you want to do with your life? What are you dreaming of? And also, how are you gonna impact people? Because Grenade was telling me, you can be the best garbage man you want to be, but how are you gonna help others? Because this walk is not about yourself; it's also about others. Because like you, as you walk, and you're supposed to like trying to like you're supposed to be a light. You're supposed to be touching. You're supposed to like, hey, how you doing? Like, and sometimes it's not this big touching. Not just like, oh, I'm a pray for you. Sometimes it's just like, hey, how are you? Actually getting to know them, showing a light, being loving. And I think that's a big part of our walk. That also having purpose in your walk. Sometimes it's not always about being a big, just like a giant big calling. Sometimes God just be a good mother, be a good father, be a good sister. And I think just walking and just showing love to others. And showing that you care, that's showing the love of Christ and showing that, and I think that they should have that in your foundation and build that in your foundation and your hope and just hope.
But you also got to have grace as well, because if you want to receive grace, you got to be able to give grace, and it's easy for people to receive it, but it's hard for people to give it. And a lot of times people are like, man, if I had $1 million, what would you do? And they'll light up. Man, if I hit the lottery, I'm gonna go da 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 da. I was like, so what if I gave you $10? What if I gave you $100 or gave you this idea or something? Can you have that same passion? Why don't you have the same passion? You know what I mean? It's like you have to have that same passion. If you hit the lottery, that same passion you have on something you're not going to do, why don't you have that passion for your life? You got a better chance of bettering your life than it is you hit the lottery. Yeah, I mean, it's great if you do hit it, but I'm like, if you're not prepared for it, all you can do is kill yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you get people that have money, like, well, these young people get that money with them athletes and they do all crazy stuff. I like, sweetie, if you 50, guess what you're going to do? You're going to do crazy stuff if you hit the lottery. We all going to do crazy stuff if you're not prepared for it. Yeah. But you got to prepare yourself on a daily basis of what I'm going to do to make an impact and make a difference, because God can't bless you for something you ain't really equipped to handle.
So what are some of the ways you prepared yourself, not just for your goals, but some of the things you hope for?
It's just a slow grind, man. My goal is to impact as many lives as I possibly can. I think, thank God for sparing my life a long time ago. And I'm just grateful for just being here. And I want to leave a legacy for my kids, my grandkids, even the kids I have raised, and just, better my community as much as I can, and just try to make a difference and make an impact.
So you probably, what does legacy mean to you?
I mean, just making a difference. And when they say your name means something. For me, that's what it is. When you say KD Bowen, I want that name to mean something. So my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, they know, like, hey, my grandfather really did stuff, but not just for himself, but he did stuff to make a difference for a lot of other people and inspire a lot of other people to go out there and live their best life. And the best life is whatever that may be, and that's what I want my legacy to be.
First off, thank you for coming to be a guest. Maura, you got some questions you want to ask KD before?
No, I was just asking about Fiji.
Any of the audience, Chantel in the back, you got a question you want to just drop in?
Thank you for your service.
With that being said, guys, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being supporters. Don't forget to check out the links that's available to get KD's books, The Dream is Free, Mountain Movers, and also get to next so he can coach you. You want to tell the audience more about that? You can. Before we get out of here.
We put some slides up there. Come check me out. I got a store inside a mall at Johnson City. We do mentorship, accountability. I do one-on-one coaching, and we do different events throughout the year that we have going on. Like I said, Saturday, February the 15th, we'll have an event at Holiday Inn. Come check us out. Also got a Mountain Movers conference that I'm going to be putting on in April the 3rd with a lot of different people from our region that we're going to be coming in. We're just trying to make the world a better place.
So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. And KD, thank you for coming and being a guest and being a part of this podcast. You got anything you want to say before we say good night?
Hey, win the day.
Well, make today a good day. Remember, this conversation doesn't just start here. The conversation starts with you. Like, the real work starts outside of this conversation. With that being said, this has been another episode of Talk to Talk. Morgan, you want to say something?
Have a blessed life.
And happy birthday, Nayana. And we're out of here.